This video will guide you through the quickest way to get your Vision restaurant up and running. First, extra setup defaults. Ensure you've selected the correct currency, entered your TIN, your VRN number if applicable, and set the reporting base to your fiscal year start date. Click Save and Close, and let's move on. We will now go to chart of accounts. We will have to set up a certain amount of accounts. Obviously, in our example, we have a restaurant that has a bar section and a restaurant section. Therefore, we have to set up a cash account for bar and a cash account for the restaurant, because at both points you might have payment transactions. If you want to split your inventory in different sections, for example, beverages and food as individual stock accounts, then you can split them accordingly. So you first create a header account. I will show you in a minute how to do that. And then you add accounts under the header. So in this case, inventory, and under the inventory, we've added beverage stock and food stock. To do it correctly, you see at the moment it says here assets non-checking. This is wrong because it should be stock. I click Save. The same with the food stock. This is stock. Save. The cash points should not be non-checking. They should be cash. Save. And also the restaurant is cash and save. So now we have created a proper cash account, a cash account for the restaurant, a stock account for beverage, stock account for food. We also need to set up a control account for VAT. That falls under the liabilities. It's indeed a non-checking account. You can give it a code to your liking. This is just an example. And you click simply Save. We also would like to have potentially income for different sections of my establishment. For example, you want to have an income maybe related to purely beverages. So you can have an account called beverage income. I save it. I click again, add, and I make a new account called 1002, and I call this food income. This is required if you would like to split later in certain reports like profit and loss, your food income from your beverage income. If you're not interested in accounting, you can even leave this out because there's always what we call a general sales account. So after making the income accounts, you also might want to make cost of sales accounts. So we can do the same thing here. 1001. We had beverage income. We call this beverage cost of sales. And similar-wise, we add an account 1002, and we call this food cost of sales. And I save it. So now, as you can see, we have cost of sales accounts, we have income accounts. Now let's have a look at some typical expenditure accounts that a restaurant might incur. So to create a header account, for example, a group, we can say there's a group called 601,000, and we call this inventory expenses. Save. For example, under inventory expenses, we could have an account. We could call it manual adjustments. Sorry. Adjustments. Okay, there we go. And you would like this account to be available for adding and issuing of stock. If you would not tag those, then at the moment of adding or issuing stock, this account cannot be used. But by tagging them, it makes it available for it. As you can see, we have now manual adjustments. Potentially, you also have an account called 1002 internal consumption. And again, add an issue. Why do I say add here? Because you might want to make a correction. wrongly. And certainly you would like to have an account called the code, for example, 1003. And this account will be called, for example, damages. And again, add an issue. Last but not least, we would have to have what we call a retained profit account. So let's add an account directly in there, 7,100, and I call this retained profit. And I save it. We've now set up all the, let's say, accounts required for the restaurant to act accordingly. However, there's one more account we would like to add, actually two accounts. That is what we call the GRN receivable account. That means that if you add to stock without going through purchase orders or supply invoice, you must use an account to offset against. So we are just putting one in. This is called GRN receivable. Available for add an issue. Let's have a look why we can't. Oh, as you can see, it's already there. So we're going to make a different account code for it. For example, 2000 itself, and it's accepted. So now GRN receivable is here. And there's one more account that we need to have. We call that 3000. And we call this the variance, stock variance account. We'll explain later what this is for. Okay. Right. We are now ready with the entire setup for the chart of accounts for the restaurant. After having set up the chart of accounts, we're now ready to start looking at the setup defaults. Let's go to the defaults. First page we already went through, so let's look at page number 2. Here you would have to set some parameters. For example, what receipt number would you like to start with? At the moment it's set to 1, but you could change it at any moment in time. Do you want to print exchange rates? No, we're not interested in that. But if you want to use kitchen order printing or bar order printing, yes, you would need to set use POS ordering on. If you want to control your stock, which we can set up here, then you can click economic stock control on and physical stock control on. This means that if you would not have either financially or physically the stock, you will not be able to sell. We can also set up auditing. What type of auditing would you prefer? Auditing off, everything is being audited. Would you like to only audit inserts, updates, but not the inserts, so do not audit inserts? Or would you like to have an audit, but you do not want to audit if people change the description of an item, but all others are audited, such as prices, diminishing the count, for example, 5 Coca-Colas becomes 4, that you want to audit. So 3 different auditing levels, or you put it off. Also, we have options to do what we call auto addition, single entry, and enter inclusive. These are just preferences, but for typically a restaurant environment, we suggest to keep these 3 on. Let's have a look at inventory setups. What is your default adding location and issue location? Now, the main location is by default available in the system, but at any moment in time you could change that. Tax component is value added tax. So it's basically this component. If in your situation you do not charge VAT, then your default component could be VAT exclusive or 0 rated. GRN receivable account, as we've set up in the chart of accounts, you can see it's now available here, GRN receivable. Returns variance account, we already set it up in the GL, so that's the one. Here at the moment we don't change anything. Orders, we're not doing ordering at the moment. Financial, yes, you will have to set up the VAT account. I will skip this one, the retained profit account, which is here. Let's have a look at miscellaneous. Nothing to do here. Templates, nothing to do. Print options, we don't have to change. And API communication, we don't have to change. So it's only the first few tabs that you have to set up. As you've seen, I didn't set a discount account. So what I can do is just simply save, extra, set up, chart of accounts, and we have to create what we call a discount account. Discounts are normally expenditures. So if we would create here a new account, add, and I say here, discounts given, and I save this, I go out, go back to extra, set up, defaults, financial, discounts should now be there, it is there, and I simply save it. Now all the defaults have now been set up correctly. To set up the chart of accounts and the defaults, we are now ready to go to the parameter setup. So we go to Vision parameters. Currencies have already been set. Forex, we don't need to set up. Text components are already ready from initial installation point of view. Payment terms, we don't have to apply. We do need to provide book periods. So because we're now in 2024, I will just make, as an example, 2024 period ready. And I just put in here, let's say the whole fiscal year. Yes, from 01/01/2024 up till 31/12/2024. And I make this the current period. Click Save. And now we're ready with that. Let's have a look at general parameters. We don't have to set up anything mandatory here. Inventory, I would like to look a little bit more into details. So if we have two different types of items, for example, beverages and food, potentially want to have two different groups for it. So I've set up beverages, food. If I want to make a new one, you simply click new. For example, I also sell cigarettes. Then I simply create a new group for it. And there it is. Cigarettes is in as well. On the unit of measurement, you would like to indicate, is an item a dish, for example, sold per each? Is it, for example, a bottle? Is it a glass? Is it a tot? Etc., etc. So again, if it was a tot, I type in here tot, and I save it. Alternative codes is a secondary grouping code. So for example, we created group beverages, but potentially want to say alcoholic beverages and non-alcoholic beverages. Similarwise, we have soda, beer, juices, and under the food components, we have starters, mains, and desserts. So you can come even more granular as you go, but this is just an example of a secondary grouping code. Stock locations. We have main, a bar, and a kitchen. In all these three locations, I might have items. If you want to make a new location, you click simply new. For example, if you would have also a pool bar, then I simply type as such pool bar in. I say, yeah, this location you can sell from it, you can add to it and issue from it. So if you have a location that you do not sell from, you simply unclick this item. All right, let's go for the last but the most complicated one, is the sales setup. Every, let's say, restaurant might have a bar as well. So, or every hotel, yeah, a bar, a restaurant. You might have different places that you're selling from, different counters. If that is the case, you can set up these counters in such way that, for example, bar, you type in bar, you have different after setting the inventory parameters, we're ready now to upload the items. The easiest way is do this via Excel. Let me show you how to do that. You create your items in the default template. The default template has several columns. Some of them are mandatory, some of them are optional. The mandatory ones are code, description, type, text category, and the price. All others are optional. So in our case, let's select what we have in front of us. I copy it. As you can see, these ones I didn't fill in, the cost of sales, the stock, and the sales accounts, so they will take the defaults. As I said, copy it. Let's go back to the application. Click import. In the white area, right click, click paste. It will bring the items now in the way we enter them in Excel. You say, or you click insert only and simply upload. All items have now been uploaded. As you can see, the items are now in my system, and subsequently I can upload a second list. To do that, I would go back again to the next upload template, because I also created what we call a template for variants. Variants are different distribution sizes of the main object. So if we store bottles of Merlot, you want maybe to still sell glasses. Now a glass is 0.2, 1/5 of a bottle, 5 glasses per bottle, and 30 tots of vodka in a bottle. So these are examples of how to set them up. Again, I select all of them, I copy, I go back to my application, I click import, I right click, I paste, I say insert only and upload. And all items are uploaded. There's one small thing left to do in case you work with different sizes, like the bottles and the tots. You will have to go to, in this case, the bottles, and each of them have to be changed with the pack quantity, because normally you would sell 1 bottle or 2 bottles. You can't sell half a bottle. But in our case, we are talking about tots and glasses. So the smallest size will be, because we didn't express it in 4 decimals, will be 0.01 for all the bottles that have tots. Yeah, so that is the gin bottle. It is the red label bottle. It is the Sky vodka and the Smith vodka. And for the other bottles, like champagne, 5 glasses go in a bottle. So in fact, the smallest distribution unit is 0.2. That's for champagne, for Merlot. And the Sauvignon, which is also wine. We are now fully set with the item definitions. Uploading items, it's time to set up the billing stations. Go to Extra, Setup, Vision Parameters, Sales, POS Parameters. Each billing station has to be configured. It needs to be assigned a profile, a location to deduct the stocks from, the type of billing station it is, and configuring where to receive money. So let's have a look at the bar. The profile, we'll get back to it, but the location, certainly the stocks need to be issued from the bar location. What type of terminal is this actually? Is this a restaurant, like ordering food and then bring it to the table and afterwards you get a bill? Or is it direct billing? Let's say that the bar is direct billing. So it is order and pay in that case. If money is being paid at the bar, where does the money go to? It has to go into a place in the GL. We've set up already an account for it, which was called cash bar. But if I click, you see also there was cash for the restaurant. If you also would have situations that you want to collect money in a credit card or a bank card or an M-Pesa payment, you simply would go here, shilling payments via, for example, mobile. They go to where? Now, obviously, I haven't set up an account for it. So the only way now to resolve this is go back, save it as far as I did, go exit, extra, setup, chart of accounts, go to company assets, create a new group, call it, for example, the 2000 group. Yeah, so 100 2000. Say here, bank accounts. And I save it. On the bank accounts, I put an account, so 2001. I mark it as being a bank. I give it a description, for example, the NMB bank. And I close it. Now if I go back to my configuration, POS parameters, billing group, go to the bar, and let's say somebody does pay via, for example, mobile, and this mobile is linked to the bank, then I simply select the NMB bank here. If I bill from a billing point and I don't want this billing point to see the other station's sales, then I have to click this on. That means when I'm selling from my own station, I can only see my own documents. I cannot see the documents from somebody that generated at the pool bar. Yeah, because I am the bar. If I say restricted to billing group, I can only see my own sales. But if I click this off, now I can open up a sale made from another billing station as well. As we mentioned, billing profile, POS menus, we'll discuss later. If I go to the restaurant, it's slightly different. This billing group is linked to the kitchen stock. Menus will attach later. This is certainly not order and pay, but it is a restaurant. And I do want to say, yeah, people are dining in. And I might have takeaways. And I might even have delivery services. And the cash goes obviously to a different place. After I've set up the POS stations, we can now create billing profiles. And a billing profile means that you link items to the profile and tables to the profile. And that the profile will be linked to the POS station. So that the POS station can only sell or order to certain tables and only use certain items. How to create a profile? Click the plus button, type in the profile name, and press the enter key on your keyboard. It is now created. Now we want to assign items to this profile. Now on the left hand side you see an article filter and a group filter. Now I know in the bar we only will sell drinks. So I select here beverages. Select all, click the arrow to bring it to the right, and do not forget to save. Similarwise, we would like to make a profile for the restaurant. So we click the plus, we type in restaurant, R-E-S-T, and click again the enter key on the keyboard. It has been created. Now if we look, we see more items. First we do food. All the food items are here. Let's select them all and bring them in. I right click the group filter. And now I'm seeing only the remaining items, but I can also just click beverages. Click these. Now you see there's no beverages yet linked, and bring it also to the other side. So now I can look what is linked in terms of food, everything. What is linked in terms of beverages, everything, because there's nothing left on the left. If I want to exclude something, for example, the bottle of champagne, I can always bring it back and save it like this. So let's try to do that. So now it's saved. It means now the restaurant cannot sell a bottle of champagne. But the bar has the bottle of champagne, as you can see. So let us bring it back also in the restaurant. I click it and bring it to the other side. Don't forget to save. We've linked the items to the billing groups. We can also do the same with designations. Select first the designation. Now let's take the restaurant. In the restaurant, all tables should be available. So I just select all the tables and I bring them to the other side and I simply click Save. The bar shall not have any tables as such. So I keep it like that. If I want the bar to have also tables, I should go to Designation Settings, create a new table. For example, bar 01, save. New table, bar 02, save. If I now go to the billing profile again, and you see already these two tables have not been assigned anywhere, but I could say the bar will be able to actually look at these two and bring them to this side. Save. So now you see the restaurant does not have an allowance for these, but the bar does. If you now want the restaurant also to be able to book on the bar, on the B01 and B02, then simply I click restaurant and bring them in so that even from the restaurant POS station, I can put an order on these B1 and B2. I save it, and now we've set also the billing profile for the designations. Button groups are not applicable to restaurant software, so we'll skip that one. Setting the POS stations and the billing profile and the tables, it's now time to actually link the profile to the POS station. So how to do that? Click bar, go to the profile, select profile and save. We'll do the same for the restaurant and it is saved. The next step would be we can skip the button groups. This is only for the generic POS, not necessarily for the restaurant POS. But let's have a look at the order printer setup. I have renamed two of my printers in my printer settings, bot and cot. The reason why I do it, because I want to use generic names for the bot printer and the cot printer. So I just simply rename my absent printer, for example, to bot, the one that is in the bar, and the one that is in the kitchen I will call cot. In network sharing, you can then later link to redirect to the correct print. But let's first have a look at the printer bot. What should be printed to the bot? All the beverages. And I save. What should be printed to the kitchen order ticket printer? The cot. That's only the food. As you can see now is that I am linking, and where can you buy cigarettes, for example? Cigarettes you buy only at the bar. So the cigarettes, they go to the bar. So what is the result here? So I saved this. Yeah. So we have the cot. Let me just put the food there once again, but I didn't save it. So now we have in the cot the food, and in the bot it prints the remainders, the beverages and the cigarettes. So automatically when I now make a POS sale, it will redirect to the correct printer. Next step is the POS collector. This is only for POS management in the end of the day. When you, for example, receive the cash back from your billing stations, you can then say, where should I collect the cash? Now, in the meantime, I've created in my chart of accounts an extra account called Cash Main. That's the collection account. And that means that if money will be collected, I will collect it in Cash Main. Just to show you where that happens, that is in a feature called POS Management, where in the end of the day, drawer by drawer, I can see what money is at the moment present there in cash, PESA payments, bank payments, and I can cash in and cash out. The money will then go to the cash main because that was the collection account I set for, in this case, cash.